is a romantic drama movie about teenagers. I'm not quite sure this movie is made for someone like me. What am I talking about? 5 Feet Apart. 5 Feet Apart, like I said, is a romantic drama movie about two people who have CF, cystic fibrosis, and they happen to meet in the hospital, and they have a budding romance, even though by the fact that they have this disease, they're not allowed to touch each other or even get within striking distance of each other. And we see how one is someone who's very fatalist. He is accepted that he's gonna die, and the girl is someone who has hope, and she does her medication, her treatment, because she wants to live. I didn't hate this movie, but at the same time I also was sitting there thinking, one, this is not a movie you should be seeing in theaters, and two, this is way too long for a movie. Just because you have the ability to be 2 hours doesn't mean you should be 2 hours. And if you cut out at least, I think there's about 4 music montages, you could have got this in at the appropriate time period, about 1 hour and 40 minutes. And that's not to say this movie isn't enjoyable for the audience it's meant for. This is a movie meant for a date movie, or a movie that's meant for teenage girls, or women in general who just like sappy dramas about love, because that's what this movie is. It's a very well acted, sappy movie about two people who, despite the world coming between them, will somehow find a way to be together, or so you believe. This movie is highly predictable, and it's not predictable in a good way, because while I sometimes say that predictability isn't the worst thing, when you kind of just want to get from point A to point B quickly, predictability doesn't do anything, especially when there's nothing exciting going on. The romance between the two lead characters, Stella and Will, is alright. I think some of the rules make no sense. Some of the rules, in fact, towards the end of the movie, they straight up just contradict themselves. The whole thing about... Alright, let's slow down a little bit. Let's go about the good to this movie. I think Haley Lou Richardson is really good as Stella. Her acting was nice. I think she knew when to go for the comedic moments. I think she did well conveying the dramatic parts. So good thing on her. I think her counterpart Will, played by Cole Sprouse, also did a pretty good part. He was very charming. I think they had nice chemistry together. Did I have a problem with that he looked like a millennial who wears tight jeans and listens to Maroon 5? It could be, but I'm an older person. Once again, this movie wasn't meant for me. But I really liked their emotions with each other. I think the script didn't help them at times, but they had chemistry whenever they were in scenes together. And like I said, Haley was really good in her acting part as Stella. I thought the movie was unevenly paced. I don't think anything was very egregious in it, and I didn't hate anything. I didn't even hate watching the movie. I just thought it was very clumsy and very sloppy. Let's go with the bad now. Obviously, I already said the movie is way too long. Way longer than it needed to be. The movie was super corny and cheesy at times, but it is a romantic drama, so, you know, that can be forgiven. What cannot be forgiven is the fact that they're in the hospital St. Grace, which if you know someone who has to go to a hospital named St. Grace, tell them to go anywhere else, because the staff is completely incompetent. The staff in this movie is portrayed as people who let the inmates do whatever the fuck they want. There are multiple times where William is up on the roof on a ledge. Matter of fact, There are several shots of him on ledges. Like, is no one watching these people? Does no one give a shit? The head nurse, I forgot her. I can't remember what her character name was or who she was. Like, she was supposed to be like the crotchety. If I can compare it to like a high school movie, she's like the crotchety principal or the teacher who has to be strict, but at the same time lets them to kind of roam free, is completely ignorant. And she tells a story about, at one point in the movie, she tells about a story of something similar happening in her past, to which I said, why is she not fired? Especially for the egregious shit she does in this movie. The staff is nothing to be worried about in this movie, or in this hospital. When I mean nothing to be worried about, I mean that when a doctor goes off, you know, when a doctor goes home, there's no one to replace them. Just do whatever the hell you want. And several scenes are like that. Like, one of my huge problems with the movie, it stretches the levels of disbelief to levels that don't need to be in a romantic comedy or a romantic drama like this. And it was actively annoying. Just like, is no one in the hospital going to say anything about these kids running around? Then the whole title of the movie, 5 Feet Apart, where in the movie they clearly say you guys have to stay 6 feet apart. Now, I'm not going to go into why why the title was 5 feet apart, but when the person, when Stella says why her and Will have to be 5 feet apart, is complete fucking utter bullshit. It's like, do you not know what disease you have? And then by the end of the movie, like, the whole distance thing doesn't matter. Nothing. This movie sets up rules about cystic fibrosis, and then by the 45-minute, 30-minute to the end of the movie mark, forget it. Forget what we told you. Just know that these two are falling in love, and forget about anything we set up. You know, just be emotionally happy with what's going on. And it's like, no, you can't set up rules and then just say, fuck it all, do whatever the hell you want. That's not how it works, especially with a disease, and a real life disease. You know, something like what happens in 12 Monkeys, you can say whatever you want because that's a made up disease. In this movie, you're using a real disease. And it was actively annoying. I kind of didn't like the way the characterization went. Like, you were introduced to these characters, and I get that they were telling a story going backwards. Like, you would fill in who these characters were by finding the more the two Will and Stella find out about each other. Like, you get filled in with each person's backstory. I thought that was okay at times. Sometimes it was just like, I have no idea what you're talking about because I don't know who you're talking about. The ending was complete nonsense and drivel. And it was made in a way to have, once again, this target audience. Teenage girls, girls in general, and overly emotional women. And even overly emotional guys. I can see some people crying at this. I was just too busy laughing at the absurdity. Because they set it up at the end where, without spoiling it, one person does something that they shouldn't do, but the consequences should be on the parties doing it, but everyone only concentrate on one person. And then the ending was totally stupidity. To get their wonky, like, you know, tearful ending, they didn't ask very simple, basic questions like, why is this happening? Wait, what's wrong with that person? And it sounds, I'm making it sound very ambiguous because I'm not trying to spoil the movie. But at the end, like, the choices the characters make no sense. It really didn't. And besides the fact this is a horrible hospital, I can't specify that enough. Not only was this movie not for me, it's not for anyone actively thinking about what's going on. Do I think the use of CF was atrocious in this movie? kind of. While it did make me want to look up the disease more to find out exactly how bad this movie was, or how like little they thought about what disease they were using, it didn't make me angry. I was just kind of like snickering and laughing at the stupidity and the logic of it all, especially the emotional logic in this movie. A lot of it doesn't make any sense. The choices at the end made no sense. They acted like something grave was happening when it was just like the whole movie goes through telling us, you know, you can die at any moment. And at the end it was just like, alright, so why is this happening? Death can happen at any moment. It can happen a day from now, it can happen 5 years from now. Why was this choice made again? I don't know. Like I said, this movie didn't think about it obviously as much as I thought about it. Is it a corny movie? Yes. Is it a movie to be seen in theaters? Hell no. This is a Lifetime movie with a little bit bigger budget. It was shot kind of nice, and it had some nice images. Like I said, the two leads, Haley and Cole, they did a nice job. It was well acted. I thought they had good chemistry. The story was bad though. Setups were atrocious. This hospital was fucking is just so stupid and run by people who shouldn't be taking care of anyone. But like I said, I didn't hate it. I just thought it was a bad, dumb movie. I do have a suspicion that the target audience will like it, and they will forgive it because they'll be emotional about what's going on, where I was just like, this is dumb. So yeah, 5 Feet Apart, I give it 4. I didn't hate it, but it certainly wasn't good. So that's my thought on 5 Feet Apart. Did you see it? Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you tomorrow with another movie review. Tomorrow will be anime though. So I'm hoping to really break out of the streak. Saw Captain Marvel bad, Nancy Drew and the Hidden Staircase, that was a bad movie. That was even worse than this, by far. That's like straight up Disney movie. The Kid was okay. Us sucked. This sucked. So hopefully I can break out of the doldrum. So bye.